What more could you accomplish if you had more emotional freedom? You'd be able to put your past in your past. When problems arise, you're not easily triggered. So whatever you focused on for the day, you're able to consistently go forward. And more importantly, you have emotional control. Hey, it's Gary Coxe, business and life strategist. If you're new to my channel here, I'd love to have you subscribe at the bottom. This is Winnie, one of my cockatoos. Oh, I apologize. This is Tequila, one of my cockatoos. So we're going to talk today about how to have emotional freedom. And if you're not familiar with my story, I had a lot of crazy stuff in my past happen. Everything from my wife telling me my baby really wasn't mine, my grandfather dying of cancer, my stepfather dying of cancer, uncle about literally 10 miles from here, killed in a plane crash, father was murdered. I mean, the list goes on and on, all by the time I was 21 years of age. Also born and raised in a cult, left that, and all your so-called friends and family in the cult are programmed to shun you and treat you as if you're dead for the rest of your life. So talk about some major trauma that could have a ripple effect through the rest of my life. And I have to constantly make sure how I deal with things so I don't allow that to stop me and keep me from attaining my goals and living my best life. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that you will need to do. Some of them are very, very difficult. I'll promise you that you're going to be doing some of these things that keep you from having more emotional success, but you will justify it every way you possibly can, and you might even disagree with me tremendously. But all I'm asking for you to do, just for this video, as you listen, is have an open mind. Just have an open mind, listen to what I say, and then at the end you can say, you know what, this guy makes zero sense at all. Or maybe I don't want to admit it, maybe he does make some sense and I need to make some changes. So before we start off with this emotional freedom, I want to share with you a story, and it's about a man by the name of Hernan Cortez. Hernan Cortez, I believe, in 1591, he had about 11 ships. He had to leave Cuba, and he led his entire army to Mexico. Now, what they wanted to do is they wanted to conquer parts of Mexico, and they had to fight the Aztec Empire. So he wanted to really succeed. You may have heard this expression before, and I'm going to show you how this works very well with emotional freedom. Burn the boats. Burn the boats. And what he did, he told his people, his army, he said, as we get to the shore, they made sure, he ordered everybody to burn the boats. Now, some people say they really didn't burn them, they destroyed them, so when they sank, they could have the wood and go back and get the wood and use them again. Irrelevant. The bottom line is, by burning the boats, it forces you that there is no possible way to retreat. So stop and think about that. If you've burned the boats, you've come all the way from Cuba, all the way to Mexico, and now you're going to burn the boats, which means there is no possibility of having any little thought that says, let's retreat. You have eliminated that. Now, what does this have to do with your emotional freedom? Oh my. I'm going to share with you some things that you need to do to burn the boats. So when you burn the boats, you have no other choice other than to figure it out and solve the problem and learn to play games with your mind instead of your mind playing games with you. So here's what happens. Many times when you have a problem, and I want you to understand this is a no judgment zone here. I'm going to share some things with you, and I don't want you to feel for a moment that I'm judging you, because I've had some of these problems in the past myself, okay? So there are things that some people do, and maybe you're in this category, maybe you're not, and I want you to understand, if you did not do them, you've essentially burned the boats. So when a problem happens, you cannot run to these things I'm going to categorize for you. You cannot run to your boat and get back and walk away, run away, swim away, and escape. There is no turning around. You must face the demons, you must face the enemies, and you must attack and win the game. So here are some of the things that some people do that prevents them from having their boats burned, and they use these things to escape. We'll start with a simple one that many people do. Coffee, all right? Am I spelling coffee right? I don't drink coffee. Coffee is one. Now, here's the belief that people have. Oh, I'm not a morning person. I don't wake up until I have my coffee. Well, what happens if you burn the boats, okay? If you burn the boats and didn't have any coffee, what would happen? You would have to face the enemy, if you will. I know it sounds simple, but I'm telling you, when you learn to master these things, it is incredible where you can take your emotional freedom. Because when you get to the mindset that you've burned the boats and there's no other way, I can't use coffee to wake me up. Oh, I must be able to have to figure it out myself. What is it that I would have to do? And trust me on this one. You may have heard me say this before. Your brain will validate all of your beliefs, whether they are right or wrong. Your brain will validate all of your beliefs, whether they are right or wrong. If you believe you're not a morning person, you validate that when you wake up slowly. Well, there's a lot of people who wake up slowly and they believe they are a morning person, but it just takes a couple minutes to wake up. Your body's been laying down for 5, 6, 7, 10 hours, whatever. So your brain will validate that, oh, you're not a morning person, so you got to get your coffee. You can't burn your boats. What about this? Pot, vaping, nicotine, cigarettes, nicotine, alcohol. And I could go on and on and on and on and on. Every single time you go to any of these things, again, no judgment here, but any single time, but here come the excuses. But I just need it to relax. Not if you burn the boats, you don't. You'll figure out another way to relax. But I've had a long, stressful day. I got to have a drink. Not if you burned the boats, you wouldn't. You would figure it out. But I got to have my coffee. I took coffee off. I got to have my coffee. No, you don't. Not if you burned the boats. So I want you to think about what are other things that you do that may not be healthy. Like you said, we had the coffee in here. Any other things that you may think of? Now, there's other things that are healthy. Go exercise, go take a walk, get a massage, manicure, pedicure, I don't know. But these things are not showing that you've burned the boats. So I want you to think about this now. If you know of anything that may not be healthy, this is hard to admit. Because if you fit into any one of these categories, you will find an excuse. And again, no judgment. This is a natural thing. You will find an excuse why you shouldn't burn the boats. So let's say Hernan Cortez is over you and he says, we're going to burn the boats. Well, the first thing that we might have in mind is, well, if we burn the boats, we can't get away. Well, that's the whole idea. If you burn the boats, you can't get away. So if you burn the boats, you can't get away, and you have to learn how to play games with your mind instead of your mind playing games with you. And this is what will help you create emotional freedom. Let me tell you, I live with a tremendous amount of emotional freedom. I'm very blessed, and I don't say this to pat myself on the back, but I want you to understand from somebody who's been through everything from their wife telling you their baby isn't yours to their father being murdered. And I used to run to some of these things because I didn't burn the boats. And once I made a decision to burn the boats, I have to now figure it out. I have to learn to play games with my mind instead of my mind playing games with me, because the consequences of not burning the boats are retreat and you never win the game. I want you to think about that. Love to see your comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are and what are some of the things that you may need to get rid of to show that you have burned the boats to have more emotional freedom to play games with your mind instead of your mind playing games with you. Love to have you subscribe if you already haven't. I'm out of here till the next video. I hope you've enjoyed this. Love to see your comments. Look forward to reading them and replying to many of them as I possibly can. Remember, between now and the next time we get to chat, you know what to do. If you don't, you do now. Title of one of my books, Don't Let Others Run Space in Your Head. Have a blessed day. And remember, burn the boats.